Good evening, good morning, wherever you may be around the globe in the chat room, on another planet or on the other side. This is Late Night in the Midlands. I'm Michael Vara. This broadcast is coming at you live on the east coast of the United States from the capital city, Columbia, South Carolina. And I do welcome you all. The website's www.latenightinthemidlands.com. Go on over, become a late nighter. Become a member, folks. Be informed. By all means, inform others. You know, I had a guy today. I actually got a little bit of news today that I'll get into. Some different stuff, anyways. Not all. Some of it's not always news. Some of it's kind of discovery and what ifs and technology that they might be putting together to better control the human mind, things like that. But I had a guy today. He said. He says he didn't know how to take me. He says that I could be, I could be pretty critical on others. And while I say that I give the truth on these people, he says that I almost do it in an arrogant way, and he doesn't know how to take me. Well, then don't take me at all. I don't know what to tell you. I'm not arrogant. I'm just confident. See, you confuse confidence for arrogance. There's no arrogance here. I'm just very confident because, I stay grounded. I try to be real about a lot of this stuff. What do you want to do? I mean, they question me, but they go listen to people who've got wild fantasies that they throw out there to people. Like I don't know, elevators to Jupiter and stuff. But I mean, there's all kinds of weird stuff out there. I get into some strange stuff. I mean, on this show sometimes, but we're always trying to get to the truth, and not Michael Vara's truth, not no agenda whatsoever, just the truth. Like I said, if I find out Mickey Mouse created me, I'm okay with that. I just need to know the truth. That's all. It's real simple and kind of stupid. I like it that way. Simple, stupid. We don't have to make it complicated for you. All right, but anyways, go to the website, folks. Help us out. Oh, and the GoFundMe, doing pretty good so far. So, folks, let's keep it up because I have fought and twisted and scratched and poked and bit, and I'm going to be able to pull off the time slot, my time slot here. Therefore, able to go live on this big station in Arizona. We're actually considering. I was talking to Ira about this. We got to talk some more. We're actually considering maybe splitting it. We wanted to do 8 shows on a big network, 50,000 watter. One of the big boys, one of the popular stations, and considering maybe breaking it off, doing, 4 on one, 4 on another, and hitting a couple markets at one time. So it's something we might do too. But we need your help, folks. And listen, I can't stress this enough. The donation button on the website, that's to help keep us on the air. That's when you hit that one, you're helping keep us on the air. That is the most important one to click. I promise you it is. All right, because that's what's most important is that we keep what we have. All right, but we are trying to push things and get out there a little more, and that's where the GoFundMe comes in. Those on the picture slider, there's a picture that's sliding through there, and it says GoFundMe. You'll see it if you look, and you could click that. And I think Jolene and Ira was going to get a link up on the website too at some point. I don't know if it's there yet on the chat and listen page, or because right now I've got the chat up, but I have it in a screen and it's full screen, so I can't see anything else but the chat right now on that screen. So, but I don't know if it's up or not. But anyways, GoFundMe. It's also on my Facebook page. And that's what we're trying to do. We've asked people to contact their local stations, tell them that, they need to pick up Late Night in the Midlands, and so, there's been some interest. I mean, we've had some small stations that have picked us up, but we're ready to hit the big boys. We do. We want to get out there. These listeners, they've had so much of the censored and I don't know, they've been protected behind the veil for so long. And boy, you get a show like this. I know there's some good shows, that hit these large markets that do give some truth, but they don't give it the way we give it. And so that's why we want to get on there. I mean, you want to see some things get stirred up? Get me out. Let me reach 5 million people in one night. You know, we do pretty good here, but we ain't reaching 5 million people in one night. That's, at least I don't think we are. I mean, you know, by the rate of phone calls, I guess you could say that that would be an indicator that we're definitely not hitting 5 million. But we have the potential to do so, and I think that if we do, I think we'll keep a lot of them tuned in. And so we want to prove that. We want to get on one of these stations and show, I guess, see, that's where people think I'm arrogant, because I was about to say show them how it's done. And, you know, and I don't mean that in an arrogant way. Again, I mean that in a confident way. I mean, there's nothing wrong with being confident. You listen, if you don't have confidence in yourself and show it, then you're not going to ever get anywhere, because if you don't, nobody else will. Just like, you ever hear that old saying, if you can't love yourself, how the hell can you love anyone else? Well, it's kind of true, I think. I think it's true. So yeah. All right. New scans reveal ancient pyramids in Poland. That's linked up on latenightinthe-midlands.com. So they found more pyramids, somewhat buried beneath the ground. They said one of several megalithic tombs found in the region. And again, this is in Poland. We've got it linked up. They say it could be about maybe 5,000 years old. Well, we'll see, I guess, right? I say again, pyramids on Earth. All we got to do is prove these pictures that keep coming through with Mars and the moon that show what could be pyramids. Just prove one of those are real, and you've got a connection, I think, with Earth and one of these other planets. I don't know. I'm convinced. I've seen enough on Mars. You know, Gary Legier has shared some really good stuff with me, and so have some other researchers of Mars. And I trust these people, and I only go with things that I could trust. I have to trust my source, or you know, whoever that might be, where it's coming from. I mean, you know, well, look, I found this in Google Images. That kind of don't work for me. I need to know where it's coming from, where it came from, who owns it, so on and so forth. Anyways, a total of 18 tombs were revealed, folks, so you might want to go read it. More pyramids being discovered all the time. Smart windows. You think you've had, no, and I'm not talking about your computer. Smart windows could make curtains obsolete. Just think. So then you have people hacking your windows. Think about the perverts. Look at the perverts at TSA. They'll get home, they'll change their uniforms, and they'll start hacking your windows. Because touching you at the airport's not enough. Now they got to look at, I'm just saying, really. I mean, come on. Smart windows, smart this, smart that. I'm telling you, everything's going to be smarter than you. And you think you're a prisoner now. Wait. These are the researchers at Harvard University. Oh, my good friends at Harvard. They have developed a way to quickly change these glass windows. There's some kind of paint on wires that they put in this glass. It's like a clear paint, and by it, I mean it's kind of runs like a computer. You can, you know, the window will fog up if you want it fogged, and it'll clear if you want it clear, and somebody can hack it if they want to watch you making love at night, you know, or whatever it is you do. I don't know what you do. But whatever you're doing in there, even if it's just sleeping, somebody might hack your window and get a peek. Isn't that something? It won't be like, you know what they'll do. You'll get smart windows and there'll be cameras embedded in them, and you won't know it. So your windows will be watching you too. So when you're looking out the window, you'll be looking into a camera. You won't even know it. Technology, isn't it wonderful? 34 killed and hundreds wounded as Islamic State, it says, claims responsibility for airport and metro bombings. So far, this is what's come out on it. I mean, for what it's worth. I mean, that's what happens. You let terrorists in your country, things happen. I mean, you know, what do you expect? Like Obama. That's why he wants the border open. I mean, he's out there hanging out with his buddy in Cuba, and, you know, and the disgrace Obama. You know, he wants to let hundreds and hundreds of thousands of these people in this country. and we're racist if you object. They say 34 killed. Now that might have changed since I've got this. I don't know. 34 killed and hundreds wounded. I'm sure it's gone up since then. It says Brussels airport explosions. Third explosion rocks metro system close to EU building hours later. It says 34 killed, 200 plus injured. And again, I got this a couple hours ago, so it could be off. Nail bomb, ISIS flag, and chemicals found in Brussels. Right? I wonder if they found a passport too. I wonder if that survived. They might have found a because in 9/11 they found the passport. Everything else disintegrated. They found the passport. Anyways, that's linked up too. But all you gotta do is turn on your fake news, which I wouldn't recommend, and that's all you'll see all day, all night is coverage of this. Hey, my heart and my prayers go out to anybody who is really injured. I know people think that actors do all this stuff, and actors get involved in some of this stuff, but don't put it past these sick bastards. Don't put it past them to kill and harm to get their agenda across. They don't have to do Hollywood stuff. I mean, they'll blow you up. These people are doing what they're being ordered to do. Now, the question is, for some, I guess, the question would be, who's giving them the orders? I think most of us know. Tourist resort on the moon will let brave holidaymakers bask in constant sunshine. Well, that's where the billionaires will be, on the moon. So now if we could get most of them there, and we'll keep Trump here. I like Trump. But the rest of them, if you can get them to go on the moon for a vacation at the same time, maybe we can cut off transportation. We'll be rid of them finally. But whoever's on the moon now might not like that, though. The European Space Agency has revealed further details about its plans to a lunar village, which will offer travelers a trip that is truly out of this world. Ha ha ha. They also hope to get China, India, Japan, and it says even Russia involved to work together for this village. Anything they do, anything they're involved in, I mean, where are they going to put this village? I mean, they probably got a lot of the space taken up with weapons already. This Latin woman who supported Trump came up to the podium. She had a sign that said Latino support Donald J. Trump. And so he called her up to the podium. Now, ever since she's come up to the podium, these cowards, these George Soros paid puppets that are out there, being put out there, and these, of course, Sanders supporters. I mean, most of them are dumb enough anyways. I mean, they follow Sanders. I have been harassing her, protesting out front of her business, and all kinds of stuff. Here's a woman who, in the United States of America, speaks up for what she believes in. And now her business, her livelihood, her family's being affected by it. I mean, is this what our country's come to? Right? I mean, it's disgusting. I'll tell you, it wouldn't work with me. I'd be in jail. I really would, folks. It's not that I'm a violent man. I'm not going to let people push me around and bully me. I just won't. I just as soon be dead than live like that personally. Now, folks, before I go to break, I want to tell you a little bit about what we've got going tonight, because I haven't really said anything on that. Now, have I? Aug Tellez, I think is Tellez, and, I've been calling him A.T. That's actually what I've been calling him through our communications. Well, he'll be with us tonight, and we're going to discuss... He's going to tell us about his experiences. He was in, I believe, some programs orchestrated by the government, namely the MKUltra, that type of thing. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to go through his story, folks. I mean, there's a lot. There's a lot. He sent me a lot, all right? And, I mean, I could go in it. We're going to probably touch... a lot of different areas tonight, And I know that we'll be discussing torture and trauma-based mind control scenarios, underground bases, celebrity cloning even, I'm being told here. So we're going to talk about these things, and well, we'll see where it goes, folks. That's all we really can do, right? See where it goes. MKUltra, was an illegal program. People think that the government is so innocent and they love the people and, they care about you and they would never do, not in America. No way would they ever do these things to their own people. Well, there's been several programs, but here's one of them, and that is MKUltra. It was a bunch of, they've had several illegal programs, and again, this is one of them. They did experiments on human beings, designed to, it was designed, and undertaken by the United States CIA. They certainly always had their hand in these disgusting acts. Experiments were done on human beings, intended to identify and develop drugs, which I'm sure that they have already. Big Pharma's got drugs that interact with their technologies. I've thought that, and I'm probably right. And they do procedures, everything from torture to sexual abuse. I mean, there was really no limit in order to weaken the individual, to force confessions through mind control. This was, I think this program began, I'm going to say the 1950s. I believe it was the 1950s. And they claim that it officially ended in 1973. However, I would argue the program continues under another name. I mean, with all the technologies they have, I'm almost certain they're continuing this kind of thing. The program engaged in many, many, many legal activities, and you should look it up sometime, folks, if you don't know a lot about it. That's all I can tell you. And, this was being done in institutions, colleges, prisons, pharmaceutical companies, I'm told underground bases and tunnels and all kinds of different stuff. It's just mind-blowing. And here's the thing, folks. It's true. I mean, there was a Freedom of Information Act request, and it actually uncovered something like 20,000 documents relating to this project. And they had Senate hearings, and they had testimony from people who were unwittingly involved in these programs. So that's what we're going to talk about tonight when we come back from this break. I'm Michael Vara. This is Late Night in the Midlands, and we'll be back in just a few minutes. Don't go anywhere.
This morning I woke, restless and heady, with blood pulsing fierce in the vein. There's light on a line this morning, and maybe forever. I move with regard for the signs. You know I've searched my heart to prove there's better ways to push and pull. Hey, whatever gets you through these days.
On the east coast of the United States, from the capital city, Columbia, South Carolina, you're listening to Late Night in the Midlands with your host, Michael Vara. To talk to Michael Vara, dial 803-392-4566 or around the world on Skype. Just use Skype ID LNM Radio.
All right, folks. This is Late Night in the Midlands, and I am Michael Vara. Very serious subject tonight, folks, and it is a mad world. It's a very, very mad world. And when you hear from my next guest coming up here tonight, you might agree that it is a mad world, a mad freaking world, only because I don't want to use other words. But it is mad. And so we're going to talk to a gentleman this evening who is going to tell you about some, abuse he's been under, and abuse that a lot of people have been under. Okay, a lot of people have gone through this, just you don't hear about it. Your fake mainstream, lamestream media doesn't cover this kind of thing because, they're not allowed to. Well, we are, and so we're going to. And you could go over to the website before we get started here, latenightinthemidlands.com. Become a late nighter, folks. And the only reason we have a program like this is because of you. That's the only reason we have the shows on this network that we do is because of you. We do our best. We give you a lot. We're not money hungry like these other ones. We don't charge for every little thing. I mean, some of them you've got to pay to be in the chat room with them once a month, for crying out loud. Me, I'm here every night. Every single night, and I'm very easily accessible. I don't hide behind producers and all that stuff, and believe me, I fight my own battles here and on social media, and you know what? I love every minute of it. So, folks, it's because of you, and that's why I continue to ask you, help keep us on the air, because without you, there'd be no us. People say, oh, thank you so much for what you do. And, thank you for you and Ira for this network. And, well, yeah, but the bottom line is it's you. If you did not exist, neither would we. We might somewhere on a very small scale. You're going to search through 4,000 shows on Blog Talk Radio for us, though? So that kind of thing. Anyways, thank you, folks, for all the support that you've given us. And, all right, so let's get on with it here. I think I'm about ready to get this thing started with my guest, Aug. And so let's go ahead and get him on now. I'm going to bring him aboard, and we'll see what he's got to tell us. And all right, and then, folks, if you've got questions, private message the questions to me. Don't drive the guests nuts in the chat room, please. All right, so, welcome aboard. Is it Aug?
Yeah, that'll work.
All right, well, hey, I welcome you to Late Night in the Midlands, and I thank you for spending some time with us and sharing this information with us.
Yeah, thank you for the opportunity. It's been a long time coming.
Yeah, well, I don't know exactly where you'd like to start, but I'd certainly like to. I guess the best place to start is with your background. Where did all of this start? Or do you want to give us a little teaser on where we're going tonight? I know where we're going, but the listeners certainly may not have any idea. So I guess start from the beginning.
I can talk about the bases a little bit. I'm pretty nervous here, but it's coming along.
Well, listen, I understand it, and even me, when I go on other shows, I get a little nervous too. Don't worry about it. I'm not here to crucify you or judge you. I'm just here to hear your story and share it with the listeners. I don't bring people on my show to, point the finger at them or anything like that. I'm interested. I know that these programs existed, and I'm all ears.
Yeah, that's good. That'll get you the truth. Some of the names, I think Mockingjay, Mockingbird, Bluebeam, Project Talent, MKUltra, Monarch Mind Control. We went into genetic modifications in the Nazis' Uberman program, Project Camelot, and Bluebeam, with basically creating a new world invasion or a false invasion. All these things to manipulate consciousness. It started, I guess I was 9 years old. Mm-hmm. I believe they explained that Project Talent through the school system and possibly other things. I'm not sure if my family was involved. 9 years old, I guess I was given the opportunity to I guess, get in a way mentored by a secret society member. He showed me many things, and I'm not sure really how it got into torture and MKUltra, but I do know that what we call mind control and mind washing, brainwashing, is what they do. It turned out that the secret society member was a member of one of the elite families. So all the families go through this starting at the age of 6. Once they're past that age, they're no longer looked at as a child. Everything has to be done as if it were an adult. So they use Monarch mind control, which is multiple forms of controlling a person, basically through the consciousness. And that, honestly, it starts with sensory deprivation, overload of sensory senses, to the point where it's the beginning of torture, of discomforting situations, sounds, sights, sensations. Then, I don't know if you reject that. I believe the natural step that they go, because it's all planned, is basically sexual torture and manipulation of the consciousness through these base desires that they basically, what they do is they map out in these, not religious rituals, but almost as if it's a ceremonial, a show, a game, and they're mapped out for each person's consciousness or personality with their, what you could call their insecurities and their fears and weaknesses, or whatever they pull out of it, and they create, in a way, these nightmare scenarios to tangle the person's consciousness up and ultimately to fracture it into many pieces. And from there, they capture the pieces that fractured, and based upon the personality of the person, they use the various alters for various tasks. When a person fractures their consciousness from these events, the personality, the alters, each alter will have a different specific set of memories and a worldview. None of them will be, overlapped. They'll be separate. And so depending on which one they target, they can create alters for any situation. This extended from this monarch mind control, from the elite, from just wealthy royal families to everything, to children, celebrity, politicians, which is honestly, that's all I really need to say. The celebrity and the politicians, you have media control, you have political control. At that point, you can control what people think, you control their imaginations, you control what they're going to do, what they're going to think.
Right. Well, let's go back just for a minute here, and because I know you've got a lot to tell us, and I don't know if we'll even get it all out in one show. No. We might not. So we might. Well, I mean, I'll certainly pursue this. So why, I guess let's start with, why do you think, and you kind of touched on it really quick in the beginning, but why do you think that you were selected? What made you a selection? Is it random, do you think, or is there something more to it?
At first I thought it was random, but that's not how it works. I was specifically selected. I believe they kind of pick people who are, in a way, maybe more gullible, to the point where they're more imaginative. Because basically, I remember times being in school, 1 or 2 times, and I was in 3rd, 4th grade, so this is back there, and individuals from some think tank group or something came in with these goggles that go on your head. And I remember this. I'm not supposed to remember it, but I had this all explained, and I remembered it on my own. I talked to them. The goggles first showed Disney footage in fast succession, to the point where it's basically a Disney programming device. And if the child disassociates, a certain change will be noticed in the person, which is probably a handler, coming through these schools doing that. I apparently disassociated. I'm sorry, I got a message.
Oh, it's okay.
I apparently disassociated to such a high degree that they have use for that, and basically it hypnotized me. The Disney symbols, it was almost like a hologram technology in the goggles, and this is like the 90s, so it was like the 3D goggles that are coming out today. It was something like that, and it was literally Disney characters and symbols, and the star in front of the shows that come out, the movies, the logo. It was all these things wrapped up into this almost psychedelic visual trip, and apparently I was hypnotized rather quickly, and so I'm assuming that was at least one of the deals, one of the call signs, I guess, however you want to call it. But there were a lot of other things, because basically these members of society, they're in any business you can imagine. Basically my dentist, doctors, and orthopedics, orthodontists, they were all one way or another involved. So once I was targeted through something like that, it was from there. It's easy.
So it kind of makes sense to me with the whole school thing, because I remember when I was in school, you'd have certain I don't know, you call them teachers or what, who would come to the class and take certain kids for special programs, whether it be, I don't know, you'd hear sometimes all the smart kids, they kind of separate them for whatever reasons, or certain kids with certain traits. And it might have been like school selection then.
Right, that's what it is. Apparently that's Project Talent, and it's the Brain Trust and all these think tank, Tavistock, all these groups coming around. And that is like a fishnet for these people, and the real defining feature is just that we're basically able to be hypnotized and drawn up into the system. And then I believe also, because of, I was curious about these sacred messages and knowledge and symbols and everything that they used, and it wasn't the hypnotism that did that. I saw the connection between the ancient gnosis and the BS that they were basically bringing on me there. So it's almost as if they can get a person through that, and the person is then interested, as strange as that sounds, in the knowledge aspect of it. They take that and foster it until it becomes, the person grows into, and that knowledge grows into something that's useful and powerful for that person. But throughout the whole process, nobody, grows and then they're strong and smart and they go off in the world. They use these people for, like puppets. They use them for society. It's always a plan. It's just always a plan. And there are apparently what you could call elders that have the power and the technology to live essentially a very long time, and the whole thing is mapped out, every little detail, on these huge systems that I don't really even know how to describe, but they use them.
So, and now you said that like doctors and dentists are involved too. Now I have to wonder, like if I have, say, a toothache, I'd kind of pick my dentist. Now, how do they work that? How do they get in? I mean, how do they get everybody on the same team like that? I mean, because you would pick your doctor, at least you think you're picking them, right?
Right. With that, it's nothing to worry about. You'd really have to kind of do something to these people to get followed and this, that, and the other. There are a lot of issues with gang stalking, with people wondering why it's happening, and that's basically another version of the same issue, because now they don't need to get people. They don't need to screen you. They have basically devices and systems set up. For instance, the computer, I'll get to the doctors, but the computer, everything that's on there is being categorized and recorded. So now they don't need to screen whose childhood was one way or the other. They have profiles on everybody that connects to that. On top of that, there's other things that use mind sensing technology, scalar technology, which is a little bit deeper, and it's being propped up now. With the how they get all these people involved, it's both with their consent, without their consent, and with their knowledge and without their knowledge. Anyone that's involved in one of these groups, they can basically be called up, even if it's just like a lower level secret society member, anything like that. They can be called up and brought into an initiation, which will be specifically laden, riddled with programming that will utilize this person essentially as an altar, but it's not through torture. At that point, say he needed to, not like the next client that came in whose name was this. That could be subconsciously put into his programming. And then you have the people that are aware of it that get, in a way, get off on it, kind of see it in their eyes. And it's not just somebody either subconsciously through that or even through a higher up, through the head doctor or maybe even an insurance company telling them to lay off it, and they don't really know that's going on. The other people then, they get in on it, and it's like a game to them. It's like a game of controlling the population, and they believe that the people that aren't aware of this aren't really awake enough to be considered human. And that's kind of rough.
I've run into those people. So I guess at one point, hypnotizing and picking them in school, like you said, was probably the way to go. And now with the technology where it's at now, like you said, everybody's got their profiles and this and that. Everything about them is digital now. And so they probably got other ways of doing it. But how exactly, how would they get people, like, get you hypnotized? And I'm asking because you've got my interest here. And once they get you hypnotized, I mean, did you remember? I mean, did they tell you they were going to hypnotize you? How did that go? So
when the first few times it would happen, say like the first one in school or the first few times back, basically in these underground bases, it's exactly as you would think. First few times you can resist. You can resist as long as you want, but the more you resist, they find out the reason in you, the belief system that propels you, that rope, that light at the end of the tunnel. That's half of it, if not 90% of it. Finding out a profile of what this person believes, so they can take the system, the facts, and the design of the show or the scenario they create, and collide that belief system, collide the two most weakest parts of it, and rip it apart. So now at that point, if somebody believes in God or somebody's gonna help them or whatever. I mean, I believe in God, but they really turn people against each other in these ways and rip a belief system apart. So they'll target that with, say, spiritual and religious programming. How the programming is around now, and I could remember at first, but once it gets past these levels and they break your conscience, at that point your brain shuts it out. It doesn't want to know. You can't go back to normal life and wake up and or come home and then everything's cool and know that even if you remember that day, apparently this is what I was having trouble with, as they program you to forget as soon as you go to sleep, to the point where you'll dream dreams that are similar to that event, and when you wake up you believe it was a dream. It's programmed into you. But
help me understand. I mean, like, when they're doing this, I mean, it's not, when I think of hypnotism, I'm thinking that somebody's got this little watch and they're swinging it in front of your eyes. But you're not talking about that type of hypnotize, right?
It's the same thing, but when it's that, tender, and apparently always the person has to accept that they can be hypnotized, accept that they're, the other person is in control through these symbols. But say you're sitting there in a chair and he's on stage doing that, that's fine. You can reject. But say you're strapped down and they're putting drugs into you, and you have a multi-faceted monitor strapped to your head, and the flashing symbols are going and going and going, and as well your ears are plugged with these headphones. At that point, resistance is literally finding something so subtle within you that it's hard to describe what happens. It's hard to describe.
I see, because my next question was going to be, now why wouldn't a kid tell mom and dad? But you're saying that by the time you get back to your so-called reality, you were made to forget all of this. Is that it?
Not only made to forget, but what I'm saying is, in that chair, in that situation, they'll turn the person into a vegetable, into a baby, no matter how old they are. And it's that the brain will forget, because at that point it's like a break in memory and consciousness. What they do is they induce an artificial nervous breakdown, artificial schizophrenic break. And they use all these chemicals to do that. And just traumatization alone, enough pain will cause the brain to view that as a dream, a bad accident, a bone break, anything like that. The memory will go quick. You can feel the pain there, but if it's too much, it kind of crunches together. They focus on that effect that the brain can produce, and they use that, and it induces crazy states of temporal manipulation, to the point where really they you could feel like you were there for hours or days. I mean, you are there. They take people there for hours, but it feels like it's much longer, to the point where when these glitches happen in the brain, the memory, it automatically gets categorized as something that can't be real, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Well, now, nowadays, of course, they use big pharma. I'm sure that a lot of these drugs they've got these kids on. I mean, every other kid is on some kind of drug because ADHD or what have you. So that's probably, being used now, right? I mean, they claim that this program was shut down. And of course, I don't believe that, because they've got so many more advances on the brain now. I mean, they know how to. I've seen demonstrations where, one guy would put on a cap or like a little strap on his head, and he'd be able to control another guy's body with his brain waves. I mean, so, they probably learned all this from these programs.
You're exactly right. They got it from Tesla. They have that technology now, but there's no contact needed. You can just stand in a circle and they beam it at you. They found that out in the 70s, actually, through Montauk, which they found out through radio waves at I think 400 to 425 hertz, low frequencies and some ultra high frequencies induce emotional states. You can induce any state of emotion in a person in a brain. I'm assuming in anything with the central nervous system in a brain, maybe any